See you all, and I know more people will be coming along. My name is Rubkat Nafu, and I am the CEO and founder of R&D Associates, and I have phenomenal ambassadors here. Some of them are here, some of them are on the way, and some of the ambassadors are working throughout the community in various areas, and you'll hear about that. And some of the ambassadors are students at Morgan State University. Public health students are going to be working with us at R&D and also with our partners, the ambassadors. Okay, so it's a pleasure to have you here. We have a packed agenda today, and this is our love session. How could you not have a love session when it is the week of Valentine's, right? So that is exactly what we're doing. Okay, you may not see hearts or candies all over the place, but you got the love from me and all of us to support this work. And the love goes to the food that you're going to be eating, scrumptious food, which is shrimp and grits. Whoa, right? Shrimp and grits. And we try to support our ambassadors. So this is really a collaborative. Not only do we work together to promote sexual health, but we work together to support each other's businesses. So Renee, who's right there, hey Renee, she's a business executive, and you'll hear about that soon. She's a hairstylist, and she is also an amazing caterer. So you're going to enjoy the food. Let us know when it's completely set up, Renee, and if you need any help. But in the meantime, we have two phenomenal ambassadors that we want to introduce. One is right here, from right here. We're so glad to have Dr. Robin Butler, and who is our new ambassador. And then we have Dr. Tahiri Mahdi, who, oh, right there, if you can come up too. Potential ambassador. And I say potential ambassador, she has not formally been introduced as an ambassador, but she's a community psychologist. And because we're in the business of promoting community health, we need experts around community. So I'm going to give each one of you a few minutes to introduce yourself, to give us a background about you, but also why are you interested in the ambassadors project? So let's start with you. You are my new best friend because right now we're texting each other almost every day, emailing, because not only are we partnering on the Ambassadors Initiative, but we're partnering on a research project. Okay, so Dr. Butler, you're going to be set up shortly with the mic, and I'm going to give you a few minutes to introduce yourself and why is this partnership with Morgan State University, especially around community health, important as we ambassadors are promoting community health and in particular sexual health. So go ahead.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for that warm intro, Repka. I'm Dr. Robin Butler. I am from the School of Community Health and Policy. I'm all things ambassador, along with my partners here, my friends, my family. I want to just a little background about myself. So I have actually been working in sexual health and reproductive health for a number of years. I started, believe it or not, in North Carolina when we had a BET Wrap It Up event. Some of you probably don't remember BET when it was a station, right? at the at North Carolina A&T. And so from that time of working with the HIV and AIDS population, I have been on a mission to help young adults, educate them about the importance of protecting their bodies, their minds, their spirits. The importance of this partnership right here with REPCA and R&D Associates is very integral. It's an integral part because this is something that we don't always talk about or discuss, right? We have so many taboos and we're scared and we don't feel, all the time positive about ourselves. So I am really honored to be partnered in really helping our students usher in. I have my fabulous health ed students. They are seniors. Many of them will be walking in May. So this is a very important opportunity for them as well. And I love to share that. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Dr. Butler. So yes, the students are going to be working with R&D associates, getting real practical experience on health and promoting public health in the communities. And they are going to be working with our ambassadors. So the ambassadors are going to introduce themselves, and this is going to be an opportunity for our ambassadors to promote, to market the work that they do so that the ambassadors, the student ambassador, will choose to work with you. Okay? So they have to do 100 hours of practicum. Okay. Now they're not all going to do it with you because some of it is us, and I am responsible as a preceptor for these students. But I am going to be sharing. We're going to be working together. So anything that you want the practicum students to do in public health, please do. They are here to do it. And I met with our practicum students, and they are phenomenal. I'm so impressed. I am so excited to be working with them. And you're going to get a chance to meet them. And it's a pleasure to work with you as the ambassador in partnership with R&D Associates and our ambassadors to promote sexual health. But also, we have a research study, Morgan State representing Dr. Butler and me as a co-PI Hopkins on a study around HPV. And we'll hear about that in a little while. And Jaleisha King from Hopkins will share some information with us. So thank you, Dr. Butler. Dr. Mahdi, okay, yes. Introduce yourself a bit. And why the ambassadors? Why does it make sense for you to partner with the community health and ambassadors that are working around sexual health?
All right. I'm Dr. Tahira Mahdi, and I'm a community psychologist. My specialization is evaluation, program evaluation. I do a lot of seminars and workshops. I feel like my slogan is like I work with the people who work with the people. So my goal is expanding how we think about community and how we interact with different communities to which we belong. But it's so important for me to work with, and I'm saying REBCA, and I know it's like such a network, but in my mind, it's like REBCA and connected to everything else. R&D Associates has always been just for me and in my work for the last, it's like 10 years now, I don't know, but it's like the forefront of like, this is what is supposed to be happening. All the things that I was not taught in graduate school that I wanted to do. And I said, why aren't people doing this? R&D Associates is doing this. I went to Morgan State from the fall of 94 to like fall of 95, something like that. So that's how old I am. I was 16 when I went though, so that takes a couple of years off for me. But I did graduate from UMBC. I do a lot of work with Hopkins and different programs there. One of my frequent collaborators is Dr. Lawrence Brown. We have a new educational comic book called Journey in the Abolition Democracy. And there's just certain other things that really connect with my life and my work. I also have a brand new movie that just came out, just hit streaming, called Caught Out There. I have a novel called This Is Not How It Was Supposed to Go. So my research is about, like I said, community, it's membership, how we belong. But I put my information, my research out to the community through fiction. So a novel, and I got a comedy movie. I love using comedy to, this is really important stuff. So I like sneaking into people's minds, like, what do you think about that? And then you got the little
amazing. It's I love it.
Yeah, and my stuff is like the novel is rated R, the movie's PG-13. So I get in like that way. So that's kind of like my personality, how I do things. But I love feeling like I can be at home with Morgan State, with R&D Associates, and then I just look forward to meeting all the people are always so amazing. And that's what keeps me coming back. I know if REBCA says show up, it's going to be an amazing time with amazing people. I'm never disappointed. I got names in a book that I keep. So good to see anybody who I've met before, and I just look forward to meeting everybody else individually. So thank you for having me.
Well, I'm going to do this. I mean, we said Dr. Mahdi is a prospective ambassador. So at this point, given what she said and how well she articulated the importance of R&D Associates and what we've been doing, shall we say yeah? Make her an ambassador? Okay. Any names? We're about the community, and she's a PhD of community. Okay, so we have the practical experience, and she has the theoretical, but also some practical. And she wants to do more practical to work with us. So I think it's a marriage. It's a love affair. It's a win-win. All right. Thank you so much, ladies. All right. Wonderful. All right. So what we're going to do in a few minutes is that we want Morgan State University ambassadors to get up, the four ambassadors that I have. I hope all four of you are here, and briefly introduce yourself and state your name, your year, what year you're in school, and a little bit of what you want to say about your interest in health or working with ambassadors and our network of ambassadors. So I'm going to put you on the spot and start with Alton. Ace. Yeah, you can please come up here so you can hear the mic. Yeah.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Alton Boulware. I'm a senior student here at Morgan State University. Outside of here, I work for an organization called Impact Care. We are working pretty much throughout the U.S., trying to make a difference in communities. Right now, we're focused on the DMV area, so D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. A little bit about myself. I got into community health a long, long time ago, kind of like through my grandmother. Like in the day, I'm a 93 baby, so back in the day, it used to just be a different community feel where so people used to just love and support each other and people connected. And so we shared resources. And so when I grown up throughout my neighborhood, I wanted to continue that feel. I wanted to continue to make a difference. And so um, I've been on this hunt to pretty much rearrange and rechange back communities, to establish men in their homes, to establish women away from these types of diseases and making some of the unnecessary decisions and choices that come up in life. And a lot of that has to do directly with education. And so I made this kind of like my forefront. It was at the bottom of my heart to just educate, go out, share what it is that I know, what I've learned throughout the years. That way they can make more informed and better decisions.
All righty. Thank you so much, Ace. All right. You can sit because we'll be working with you shortly. Is the breakfast ready? Jaleesa, what did Mr. Renee say? She did, yes. Okay. Well, yes, why don't we start with food and drink and then get that and sit, and then we'll continue briefly with the two or three others with introduction of our student ambassadors. Please help yourself. All right, so the quicker you go and help yourself and come back, the sooner we can continue on with this. Okay? Oh, wait. Okay. All right, so who's going to be? Yeah, thank you, Dr. Mahdi. All right. All right, please go ahead and serve yourself. Right? A name and a little bit name, year, what year you're in, what's your interest area. Okay. Okay, so yeah, introduce yourself while the others are picking up the food. Yes, please come and introduce yourself. Yes. Okay, so introduce yourself. I'm gonna do like this. Okay.
Okay, how's everyone doing? My name is Kenneth Brimer. I'm a senior here at Morgan State University. My interest in community health is just to basically make a change, not only in other communities, but in communities with young men just like myself. And just to also let them know that health is wealth, and to know that whatever you put your mind to, you can actually do it. So
Thank
that's
you.
pretty much it.
Health is wealth. You heard him. Health is wealth. Very important message. Thank you. All right. Hello.
My name is Prince Massacre. I'm a senior health education major from PG County, Maryland. And my what was the last one again? Sorry.
What's your primary interest?
My primary interest is community health, because I'm all about community and building community, empowering community, and making sure we grow as one and go forward together. So that's
Okay,
my whole
great.
thing.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Prince. All right, Tanisha.
Okay. Hi, my name is Tanisha Badu. I'm a senior. My interest is health policy. I just find it super interesting, just health in general. I've always just, gravitated towards health. Originally, I was a nursing major, but I ended up switching my major to health administration because I just felt like that was just more of my forte. And then as I've like learned throughout the semesters, I realized like policy is just what I'm interested in. So yeah.
So you want to be the decision maker, policy level.
Yeah.
We need more of us
Yeah.
represented in policy level. Okay, great. Thank you so
You're
much,
welcome.
Anisha. All right, very good. All right, so now let's introduce our ambassadors that are working in diverse communities representing returning citizens, incarcerated folks, harm reduction, youth development. So some of our ambassadors are here, are on their way. Joel, can I put you on the spot and start with you? And also say what kind of what would you like an ambassador to do if we assign an ambassador? Because this is your chance to promote your work.
Hey, nice to meet you. So how y'all doing today? How's everybody doing? Good. Awesome. It's a blessing to be here. I'm Jarrell. My organization is called For My Kids. In my organization, we do a couple different things. We really focus on our community when it comes to our jail reform and recidivism rate. But we also focus on our youth when it comes to our mentoring, our after-school programs, our in-school programs, our one-on-ones. And what I would like is individuals to help me out with filing, calling, setting up groups, actually mentoring, actually one-on-one with our kids that struggle with reading and writing issues. They actually can sit with them and go through their homework step by step and not rush through. That would help my 7 and my 8-year-old kids. In Baltimore City, I always touch on this. 75% of our kids are reading on the 4th grade level. So my program is really structured to make sure they can be able to count, read, understand, articulate, and be great. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, next, Delina, yes, please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing today? I always love to talk with people who are interested in health in any way, whether it's policy, whether it's actual community work. Again, my name is Delana Watkins. I am the executive director and founder of the Women's Wellness Lounge. And our target audience or primary demographic is marginalized women and what I call BIPOC, which is Black, Indigenous people of color. Lately, we've been working with women who are either unhoused or who have been recently incarcerated. And so not only are we working with the women, but we're also then working with their families as well. And what I would like, if you are interested, especially in policy, whether or community, public health, is to help with the wraparound services. And what does that mean? That means looking at them not only from a health perspective, but what do they need from an emotional, mental, and physical standpoint? Because a lot of times those are what I call the invisible load that they carry. So if you're interested in that, front facing with doing workshop, leadership, leading workshop, finding out exactly what they need. Sometimes we tend to show up and throw up, meaning we tend to show up and give them what we think that they need. But instead, I really want to hear from them. And so the only way to do that sometimes is having dialogue with them. And I struggle with that because I'm generally the one providing the information. So if that's something that leads, in your heart as a student, I would love to work with you again and developing that messaging. Like, what does that look like for individuals? Okay. So again, I'm Delana Watkins with the Women's Wellness Lounge. So if that resonated with you, if something that I said, then I would love to speak with you about even if it's a project maybe that you are thinking of, but you need that demographic to actually make it come to fruition. Okay.
Great.
So.
Thank you. You see, we have phenomenal ambassadors that you can work with. Absolutely. And she has a health center opening up, a health training center opening up really soon. She forgot. You'll get a chance to speak about that. So we have amazing work. All right. So next, Sierra. Sierra Daniel?
Good morning, everyone. Do I hold this? Okay.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sierra Daniel. I am the founder of God is Here Media. We seek to change the world through the power of faith and media. Our target areas are sexual health, disease prevention, literacy, and adverse childhood experiences. And so it's really rooted in my experience as a former educator here in Baltimore and working with REPCA for so many years on sexual health and understanding that for people of faith, a lot of people are cynical towards health, right? And so for me, faith does not mean not being educated. We shouldn't be suffering in trauma. We shouldn't be suffering with diabetes and hypertension. We shouldn't be suffering in the areas of sexual health. And so we really use the power of media and faith to fill in those gaps. Okay, so I do need assistance when it comes to research. So, research and adverse childhood experiences really targeted to help integrate and inform some of the work that we're currently working on. You'll get to see a public service announcement that I created with the help of Rebka and all of our researchers, of so many people who took information about the misrepresentation of African American women in PrEP and PEP messaging. So you'll get to see a little bit more about that later. But
All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wonderful. And Michelle, please come up and introduce yourself, and then what assistance, how come our youth ambassadors assist you? And this is not going to be TED Talk, especially discuss TED Talk, but this is a bit different. So go ahead, Michelle, introduce yourself and what you have to offer.
Thank you. My name is Michelle Pettis, and I am the founder of Brand New Now Press. I am a writer, I'm a workshop facilitator, a healer, collaborator, and I'm delighted to be the co-editor as a R&D ambassador of the workbook promoting sexual health in Black churches. Part of the work, important work. But as my work as I'm a one-woman show. I don't know about you, right? Trying to wear all the wigs.
Literally,
literally all the wigs. But where I need help. This book has been out for 5 years, Leaving Large: The Stories of a Food Addict. And it is about, not just about food, but it's about emotional health. And this issue is so important to me because what I know is that 4 out of 5 African American women are either overweight or obese. And that is killing us emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, not just physically. And so the work is about getting to the emotional stories and promoting those stories and connecting with people in the community so that we can be transformed. So if you want to come with me when I do a book talk, right? Set up the tables, take some money while people are paying for the books. If you want to help me promote that, if you're in the social media, I need videos. I need lots of videos, right? Because it is about spreading the message. But if this message resonates with you, with the idea of connecting with people in community and being face to face, because this is face to face, belly to belly work, I would love to talk to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We do have some additional ambassadors, but they're not here yet. I know some of them are having challenges finding their place, so that's why I was texting. So for now, you've met really interesting ambassadors to think about who you want to work with in addition to R&D and through R&D. So they will be here for the remainder of the session. And I have given you each and every contact person. You have Jarrell's contact, Michelle's, Delina, all of them in the email that I sent you all, and also Renee, of course. Renee, is the food ready? The food is ready. So please help yourself quickly and come back. And as you go and grab food, think about this information. When you think about healthy relationship, what comes to mind? Because we're going to be having a conversation about that. This is love session. So what comes to mind when you think about healthy relationship? And what should we be doing more around promoting healthy sexuality and healthy reproductive health? Okay, so please keep that in mind as you go and get your food and as you let the food digest, and we will get right to podcast at 11 o'clock. All right, thank you. Please help yourself. Yeah, the sooner we get to the food, the better. It's like name introduction and what year in college you are and what are the areas of interest around health so that our ambassadors project will identify you as a potential partner.
Alrighty. Good morning, everyone. My name is Esther Alwet. I'm currently a senior majoring in health administration here at Morgan State University. When it comes to the interest, I'm really into health policy, community. When it just comes to making an impact, I like to dibble and dabble into different things. So I like to expand my interest and see more on mental health, maternal health, just helping Baltimore in general. Yes.
All right, very good. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. All right. Okay, I see Delana as possible potential for Esther. As you grab food and as you're eating, then thinking about what are characteristics of healthy relationships and how do we promote healthy sexuality and reproductive health, okay? So because we're going to have panel discussion and your input would be actually important and phenomenal, okay? So once Jimmy is all settled, and I'm going to get myself juice to drink, then we will go ahead and get started with the panel discussion for the podcast. So let me get my drink. Everyone, I want you to also be aware that we are doing STI testing today, and we're partnering with Pride Maryland over there for confidential Pride STI testing, and we encourage you to do testing. We have a few giveaways. And this is our great partner, Jerome from Pride, Maryland. Yes, for STI testing. Okay, so please do get tested. Okay, at any time throughout today. And they're going to be here at the end also, so you can do it after our session. So let me grab my drink and then we'll get started. Okay, I am going to invite Michelle to be here. Yes. Yeah, right here. And I have the mic. You want me to give it? Okay. So welcome everyone to our monthly podcast. And this is Be More Unfiltered. Let's talk about sex. All right. So what we have for you this morning is at 11 o'clock, we're going to talk about love and happiness. Okay. Followed by love and protect. So love and protect yourself and others that you're in partnership with. And we're going to talk about then treatment for prevention. What does that mean? So treatment for prevention is about HPV vaccine. It's about PrEP and PEP. So we'll learn a little bit more about that. So we have a packed agenda. And after that, we will have time for Q&A. So Q&A from the audience online and Q&A from you all. And when we look at the next slide, this is the reason why we're here and having a conversation. The STI rate is skyrocketing. We have some serious concern about our STI rate. And look at the congenital syphilis rate, where it has increased by 183%, okay, since 2018. Okay, syphilis rate is now at a rate that it used to be in the 70s. So it has increased by 80% since 2018. Y'all, what's going on? Okay, so there's increase in gonorrhea by 11%, Okay, so it's going up and up. What is happening? And that is why we need to have a conversation. Even on this week is love and Valentine's week. We have to think about what that love means or doesn't mean. It could be a breakup, it could be a mess up. Okay, so we want to promote your health, and that's what this show is about. Okay, so the first thing is love and happiness. So I'm going to have a conversation about what does that mean, love and happiness. So I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to actually start with you. So Ace or Alton, and my question to you is, let me. Oops, I just had it and then I. Okay. So my question to you is, what's important in healthy relationship?
Yeah, with healthy relationships, I think the most important thing is honesty. Relationships have to be built on a certain level of integrity. And so you're establishing some form of foundation. And so as individuals, you guys have to come as honest as you are, being your 100% self, your authentic self. Um, that is key. I think also you have to have a goal, a roadmap of where it is that you're trying to go. If the goal is to from that relationship to be friends, then that's the goal. If your goal is to be engaged, then that's the goal. If your goal is to marriage, then that's the goal. Honesty, setting clear expectations and goals. I think when you're starting about talking about a relationship from the very very beginnings, those are things should be established 100%.
Hmm. Okay, so thank you. So when you're in a relationship, what would create yoke? Why is being equally yoked important in a relationship? Because you had shared with me how important that is. So tell me, what does that look like, and why is it important?
Yeah, 100%. So being equally yoked can be not just about like in a marriage, but it's also about your relationships, meaning that
And
you
for
have.
those that are really, really up there in age, define what yoked means.
Sure, sure. So equally yoked, right? So that means if you guys have ever seen two oxes who are bearing the same, it's how can I describe it? It's like a certain level of weight that they both hold or share together, right? In order for them to produce or create or accomplish rather the equal amount of work within what the work assignment that they're doing. And so when you think about being equally yoked, that is about the friendships it is that you have. That it also can extend to the different relationships or partnerships it is that you have. But ultimately, what you're trying to accomplish is the same thing together. And so you want to be intentional about finding people it is that you want to work with who are going to accomplish that with you. When you think about business, when you're trying to do something together, you want to be on the same, have someone who has the same mindset, the same values it is that you have when you're working towards that, and that can extend again beyond just a relationship that you're looking to, like in a sense of something that you're trying to get married to this person, but it also extends to your relationships and your friends where you're trying to go at in life.
All right. Thank you for defining that and the importance of being equally yoked. I appreciate that. So, Michelle, one of the things that we are working together on as ambassadors to promote sexual health is the guidebook to promote healthy relationship and sexual health in Black churches. And initially, we called it promote sexual health, and now we added healthy relationship so that it would be more acceptable to their church. And then we're even thinking about broadening it to health and healthy relationship, reproductive health and sexual health. So tell me about, how does the way the Black church talks about or avoids talking about love, relationship, and sexuality affect emotional health of the congregation or all
Yeah,
us all?
yeah, that is an important question, and it is important for churches to address this topic head on, because when things aren't talked about, then they are when things aren't talked about in the open, then they are addressed in silence. And when people are dealing in silence and darkness and they feel disconnected and they feel disempowered, then that disconnects them from the church. It disconnects them from their faith. So to be able to have honest conversations, connected kind of conversations where people can express their truth in a compassionate space keeps people connected to their faith rather than separated from the faith. So it's so important to talk about, to have the hard conversations. Because if you can't have the hard conversations in church, where can you have them?
So it keeps us connected.
Yes. It keeps
as
us
opposed to keeping us divided by talking about it. While we think that it might divide us, no, what you're saying is that it would actually connect us by having a conversation. And I see Ace agreeing with you. So Ace, I think you're a youth pastor, youth minister, disciple. Okay. So from your perspective, how do you respond to that question and Michelle's comment about the importance of addressing love and sex in Black church
Yeah,
or church as a whole?
I think it's absolutely necessary. I think that when we look at our communities, we see oftentimes there are broken homes from, fathers splitting or parents splitting in general, fathers not in the household, mothers sometimes not being in the household. And so that's something is to become too common, and that needs to change. And I think it is because there needs to be open dialogue, especially within the household, but in addition, within the church. Talking about sexuality is key. How is it that we as a family, we establish our relationships in that manner, right? What is the best practices? Because essentially what you have is children building on the foundations that their parents have laid. But if there is no foundation that was laid, then they're left to try to figure it out on their own. And I think that leadership in church, they need to have these discussions. You can't see again the results we saw, numbers that were just wild for STIs, STDs, etc., and not say that things need to be to make a change. I think a big key to that is being open about I don't know what I'm doing in the church, a place where you should be feeling comfortable. As you're educating yourself in your growth with knowledge of God, Christ, and the Holy Spirit, you should be able to do so with real life, day-to-day things.
And why do you think faith leaders are shying away from conversation about sex and healthy relationship? Usually this time of the year around Valentine's is when the churches talk about love and the relationship and a little bit of sexuality. So why is the church, and when I say church, I mean faith leaders, it could be the Jews, it could be in mosques, it could be in churches. Why are we shying away from sex when sex is the foundation of we were built? And God created us, and God created all of our being, including our sexual being. So, is there a concern that faith leaders, when they provide counsel for folks around sex, that they're condoning sexuality and going against the principle, the religious principle, or what is it? And how can they really stick with the religious doctrine and at the same time be able to be a disciple for the churches? So you want to take it, Michelle,
Yeah.
and I'm going to come to you too, Ace.
So you're kind of talking about like this conflict, right?
Yes.
And I think it's important, no matter what doctrine you're talking about, to approach this whole conversation from a place of love and compassion. You got to meet people where they are. I mean, so it is not about blame. It is not about shame. It is not about imposing any sort of kinds of rules, but is creating a place that is safe, a sacred, safe space for people to share what's going on with them without any kind of judgment. And so learning the language of that, learning how to really live that, I think is a charge of faith leaders, so people can feel free to come. So because once you have this kind of consciousness where you connect with people, then the transformation can happen. But as long as there's this resistance, it can't happen.
Beautiful, beautiful. Anything you want to add to that, Ace?
Yeah, as you were speaking, everything in my spirit kept on saying, do not be conformed to this world, but transform your mind by the renewing of your mind. And I think that, like, I feel often churches are trying to perform in a lot of different ways, and they're performing for the wrong views. Like your heart posture is turned towards the wrong things, and so I think that's part of the reason why it is that this conversation, it seems as if it shouldn't be going on, or it is a problem, and it's not at all. I think, if we are to be open and raw in front of God, why not all of these different areas of our lives? Why some things we kind of tuck off and put off here? Why not everything be conformed, or in servitude to God, if that is the case? And I think that oftentimes people they're looking at, like, media. They're influenced by things that are outside of what God is talking about. And that's the thing. And I do want to clarify that, not what religion is talking about, but what God is talking about. And there's a separation. And so, in this area, I can turn this part of my life over to God, but this part I'm not going to. And that's the same thing that you kind of see with churches.
Okay, wonderful. Well, this is the kind of dialogue we're going to have in May when we unveil our guidebook to promote healthy relationship and sexual health in churches and Black churches. So the conversation will continue, and this is really important conversation. And to wrap it up, two questions. One is, for you, Ace. There's been a whole lot of movement around abstinence only education in schools, and abstinence no comprehensive. And is abstinence obsolete, or do we want as part of our sexual health education include abstinence with an option for people to choose?
Wow. I had to think about that question. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I personally think that abstinence abstinence is the preference, 100%. Why? Because that leads to healthier outcomes overall. If we're talking about relationships, children, family, 100%. Right. I think with that being said, again, families and parents need to have an open dialogue and let their children know, about, just give them the information on that decision if they are choosing to share their body. I think the most important is to understand how important your body is, and how it how much is going to be with you for the rest of your life, and how it's so important to protect your body. And if you're choosing to share that part of yourself with someone, that needs to be a serious conversation. You don't just need to be handing your body over to anyone, um, because so much gets attached to that you have no idea what you are actually doing in that split moment. Um, and despite the fact that they have all of these scientific, preventative measures and everything like that, that's great. There's still an attachment that cannot be separated from the moment that you make that decision. And so I would highly suggest, again, that it's a make an informed decision about it. If you're choosing to do so, I think it should be in covenant with God, 100%. My 2 cents on it.
Okay. So your word of caution is, be careful how you proceed with love, because scientifically, right, and you've done a lot of work around emotional balance, there is a relationship between love and our hormones.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
When our heart beats fast and you see someone that you really love, it's a hormonal reaction. Okay. And then when you're hugging and having sex, there's another level of hormone that's coming in that creates that attachment. So the more hugging, the more sexual, interaction, the more connection, the more attachment is created. The attachment hormone.
vasopressin is really kicking it. And then dopamine, the excitement, is like when you see the butterflies. That's what it is. And sometimes we're addicted to butterflies. And then, but then there's that, and also that oxycontin is the cuddle one. So you hear oxycontin with the opioid, but no, we're not talking about that kind of oxycontin. We're talking about the natural oxycontin, right? So the cuddle hormone, and then the one that regulates, our mood and our, the cuddle, the oxycontin, the cuddle one is also about what sustains our relationship. So when you see people jumping from place to place, or I've lost that butterfly feeling, it's a normal transition. Sometimes people don't understand that's a normal transition. And it is okay when you don't have the butterflies, because you're not going to have a butterfly forever when you're in a relationship. What happens is it gets transformed, right? Where you have the sustainability, you sustain because now you feel a higher level of connection beyond the butterflies. Okay. So say a little bit about the importance of really thinking about the emotional relationship, because you've done a lot of work around the various, hormonal interaction, identifying triggers, and the work that you're doing around not only love but also around weight and weight loss. And I think you shared earlier about your tremendous weight loss, and that led you to really think about our emotional status. So if we can close with that, that would be great.
So let me close with it's all connected. It's not separate. And so I want to go back to your question about abstinence.
Okay.
I mean in the context of this conversation is that when we think about abstinence is the only way. It's the way that's 100% that we can prevent STIs, that we can prevent
Drama.
HIV, that we can prevent drama, that we can prevent unwanted pregnancy, that we can prevent all these things that ultimately they have the control over. So abstinence is the only way to do that. But more, not even more importantly, but the other piece of that, when I talk about it all being connected, is that when we think about how we develop, we oftentimes develop physically before we develop emotionally, and everything starts in our head. Our bodies follow our brain. At least our bodies are supposed to follow our brain. Sometimes our bodies lead, but when we haven't developed the muscle around emotions, around emotional health, around trust, around those things that give us the ability to have sustainable, healthy relationships. The ability to do that starts in our brain. It starts in our mind. It starts in our thoughts. So when the sexual piece advances or jumps ahead of that, then that creates some issues for us. So when we're able to abstain, when we're able to focus on emotional development, spiritual development, that kind of development, then any sort of sexual activity that comes in supports it later on, because you have developed the relationship with yourself, and you're not looking outside of yourself for that stuff.
That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Is that why that movie, what is it, 30 Days? What was that movie with Tyler? Who was it that did that movie about waiting for?
Oh, that was Steve Harvey. Was
Harvey,
it Steve Harvey?
Steve Harvey.
Yeah. The way.
So it's
Wait.
to get to your point, it's like wait for the depth of the relationship and understanding of who you are with before you actually
Absolutely.
sex. So thank you for the information. And just to add to that, so healthy relationship is very important. And so you've touched on some of the things related to a healthy relationship. And I think people have been thinking about what is healthy relationship, and we'll come back to that. So at the end of all these short discussions, there will be time to hear your comments and get your inputs of all the panelists. So thank you so much. And so Ace Alton from Morgan State University, Senior Health Ambassador for R&D Associates. Great to have you.
Thank you.
Michelle, an author, a TED Talk speaker, and also one of our ambassadors, and working with us around the guidebook. And Ace is going to also work with us on the guidebook. So thank you so much. And we'll transition to the next part. Pleasure. Yes. So next I invite Dr. Butler and Jerome Scott So Jerome, yes. Okay. So now we transition from love and happiness. Love and happiness. You know what song? What that tune I'm talking about? Okay, if we had the DJ, that would be like, ooh, immediately getting it. All right. So that's a thought, Jimmy. Next time maybe we'll have a DJ in our. Okay, so now we're going to talk about then love and protect ourselves. Okay, so we're going to talk about sexual and reproductive health and then safer health practices. Okay, so when we think about, I'm going to give you Dr. Butler.
Yes.
Again, introduce yourself for the audience on the podcast and for everyone here. Briefly, give us your who you are,
Okay.
and your background, and then what is it that you want audience to know during this Love Month about sexual health and reproductive health and the connection of those. And then Jerome, we're going to come to you, and we want you to talk about then part of safer sex practices and healthy relationship is getting STI testing. Okay, so take us to the process. Should people get tested before they engage in sexual relationship with someone? And then what are the different ways of STI testing that you all do? Okay, so we're starting with you, Dr. Butler. Tell us a little bit about you and what messages you want to give about sexual and reproductive health.
So, School of Community Health Policy, Department of Public and Allied Health.
That's
Dr. Butler at Morgan State. The Bears. So a little bit of background, all things HIV and AIDS, education awareness, testing. And I think I introduced myself before 10 to 15 years ago. I'm telling my age. I'm a professor here. I have our lovely health ed students. And so I guess to answer your question, I guess I'm going to come from a reproductive health perspective and just what does it mean for our Love Month? Really think, what does it mean to me? Reproductive health really involves maintaining mind, spirituality, and maintenance of your parts. Of your parts, taking care. You have a responsibility to take care of yourself and others. Yourself first and others. So that's what it means to me.
Okay. All right. Very good. So what if Jerome? So tell us. So if we're going to be loving and protecting during sexual health, tell us how often should we be screened, and tell us what does screening and going through STI testing involve?
So first, we recommend that everyone gets screened every 3 to 6 months, just for your own protection, but for your partner as well. And the message I want to get to everyone is just love who you want to love, but do it safely. What was your next question?
Yeah. So what are the different types of testing that you offer here? So you're with Pride Maryland.
Yes, I'm with the Pride Center of Maryland. I am the risk reduction program coordinator. We offer rapid HIV and syphilis testing. It takes about 15 minutes to do the testing, and you get your results the same day. We also do sexual health surveys just to kind of gauge and let people know what their sexual health, their risk are of contracting STIs and STDs. So we do a survey and just let you know what your risk level is as well.
So what kind of tests are you doing today?
Today we are doing rapid HIV testing. So for our test, you receive $30 for doing a sexual health survey, and you receive an additional $25 or $30 for completing the STI and STD testing.
Okay, so the results, how quickly would they get the results? It's a rapid test.
Yes, it's a rapid test, so you receive your results in 15 minutes.
All right, and how do you get the rapid test?
It's a finger prick, so it's a small finger prick, the same as one would take for diabetes test. It's just a small prick, you barely feel it, 1 drop of blood, and we'll get you your results.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so thank you so much, and we will transition then to the next conversation. Thanks for sharing about love and protect. Just one more thing about your North Carolina work around HIV/AIDS prevention. What were some key messages that came out of that project?
Really, we focus on building community. If you know the history of the South, we were in a, it's typically called a Bible Belt
Bible
state.
Belt have
So
high, the highest
stigma
rate of
was
STIs. So they're doing it. They're carrying the Bible, but they're doing it.
Yeah. It's so funny. So during that time, what we did was we started a movement. Women from all over, pretty much within the triad, we call it a triad, they came out and they spoke about their experiences. African American women living with HIV. And so today, I still keep in touch with them. So today, one of them went back to school. She's now working in a master's program, and so they were hidden for a while. And then when we brought that to North Carolina, they were like, "What?" And so the first time they were all panelists. It was four of them. And so during that time, the biggest thing is how many people we got tested. 500 in a triad. So it was huge for them. It's the first time that they had ever had anything like that done during this time of stigma. And it's still stigma.
Yeah.
But back then it was just whew.
Yeah. And that's what
So
we
very
want to address. We want to address the stigma that exists. So the only way we can increase awareness and change the STI rates, there are 20 million STI cases per year in the United States. 20 million. Okay. About 10.25 million is with one age group, age 15 to 24. So young people are doing it. STI is rampant out there. All the various viruses and bacteria is related to sexually transmitted diseases. So it behooves us to acknowledge, not to shoo-shoo and believe that it doesn't exist, that to acknowledge that STI is everywhere. And it's not about the person, it's about the behavior that we're engaged in. So we want to focus and send the message. It's not about stigma, it's not about judgment, it's about promoting health for yourself and for others and for all of us collectively. Okay? So hiding behind the Bible or the Torah or the Quran is it's not the right thing to do. It is to really unveil all those religious barriers that we have. And the reason why we're talking about religious barriers today, but we're talking about really all societal issues, not only religious, but this is the time, as I mentioned before, when faith leaders talk about love and relationship, when oftentimes they do not. Okay, so we want to really normalize the conversation and wherever people congregate. Okay, so whether it's in faith institutions or in schools, because schools are supposed to do it, are they doing it is another factor. Okay, it's every state is mandated, and the State Department of Education mandated to do some sexual health education. But everybody's like, I don't want to do it, or do it at a minimum level. Okay, so we need to normalize this conversation because we are sexual beings. Having a conversation with the young people or with your child, or someone, it doesn't mean that you're supporting their sexual behaviors. It's really about promoting their health and finding out where they are at, what information do they have that's truthful, and what information do they have that's a myth that you need to dispel. Because a lot of people are operating based on myth, and thank goodness for social media, all kinds of myths are out there. Okay, so we are about protecting ourselves, and that's what this podcast is about. That's why we call it Unfiltered, right? The name was by Jimmy came up with that name, and Be More Unfiltered. Thank you so much, both of you. And please plan to get tested. So $25 for going through the
So
test, did
you
you say?
get $30 for our sexual health and mental health survey, and you get either 25 or $30 for completing the test. So
Oh,
we're
so you
right
can
over
come out with
here.
50 some dollars.
Yep.
Okay. Then we're doing
Please
the
come
math.
get
30
tested,
and
know your
20. Yeah.
status.
So there you go. All right. Thank you so much. Jerome, thank you so much, Dr. Butler. Okay. And reproductive health is very, very important. And Jaleesa, I'm going to invite you over because reproductive health includes HPV, right? So cervical cancer. The sure way to prevent or eliminate cervical cancer is through HPV vaccine. Okay, HPV, 100% of cancer and cervical cancer is related to the HPV virus. What is the HPV virus? And a lot of people do not know about that. So now we're going to go to treatment for prevention. And treatment for prevention, perhaps people have heard about it or have not heard about it. Treatment for prevention, isn't that like opposite treatment for prevention? What does that mean? Treatment for prevention means what are things that you can do, medicinal things that you do to reduce your chance. So it's about vaccines to protect yourself. So we're gonna have Jaleesa, Delina, Sierra, and Jimmy. All right. Please come forward. And so, Jaleesa, please introduce yourself and then share your work around reproductive health and sexual health and what we're doing together as partners in the, Hopkins and Morgan State University. And say a little bit about reproductive health and sexual health. How are they connected?
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Jalecia King. I am the program manager for the Community Outreach and Engagement Office for the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center. Say that a million times twice. But basically, my job is to connect the community to research that is happening at Hopkins, specifically around cancer. However, my background, I am a Morgan State graduate. I have my degree in biology, and I also have my master's in public health. I am all things community and all things public health, and it started right here on this campus. Actually, Repka and I worked together while I was a student, and we put a step show on called Stomp on HIV. So HIV has been a very fluid thing in my life for a very long time. And that we were able to raise awareness right here in the Baltimore community. And we had the steppers come and they did a step show. We had Pork Chop come out and he was the host. It was an amazing event and we got about 500 people tested. We had the testing van out there as well. So community service work, being involved in public health and community health is definitely my passion. And I've been doing it now for probably most of my life at this point.
Reproductive health.
When we talk about reproductive health, I am also a certified doula. So I talk to women all the time about their health and their partners. And reproductive health and is important because if we don't take care of ourselves, we actually have the opportunity to impact our ability to reproduce at all. And this is effective for both men and women. Having reoccurring STIs can create scar tissue, which can prevent ovulation. It can deform sperm. It could affect your egg quality count. There are a lot of things that bad decisions early on can affect when you're ready to have children later on in life.
Great. Thank you for that information. And it's a really sad case that every year 24,000 women become infertile because of undiagnosed STI. Mm-hmm. That is why Jerome was talking about getting tested regularly when you're sexually active. So let that sink in. Every year, 24,000 women become sterile, unable to have children because of scar tissue, because of undiagnosed STI. Yes. So thank you for that. And so what are we doing? So what do we need to do to promote sexual or reproductive health? What are some, tell me a little bit about the HPV and HPV vaccine.
Sure. So one of the biggest things, HPV, the human papilloma virus, is actually the most common STI in the world. About 80% of the people in the world will at some point in their life have HPV. HPV can cause something as simple as warts, which our body may clear up on its own, genital warts. And it may clear up on its own, but it also could cause cancers. What most people are known for, or know HPV to cause cervical cancer. So most cervical cancer, about 80% of cervical cancer is caused by HPV. But there's also an increased rise in head and neck cancers for our men. That HPV is causing cancer of the throat, cancer of the tongue, cancer of the nose and the lips. So these are things that we want to look out for. For our men who have sex with men, you can have penile cancers and anal cancers. So there is a myriad of issues that come with contracting the HPV virus, especially if you get one of the high risk versions, and that can cause cancer. And what we do know is that the HPV vaccine, Gardasil, which is usually offered in childhood, can prevent the HPV causing cancers. So not just for women, but also for men. And the sad thing about men is most of the time you guys won't have symptoms. And if you do develop the cancer,
That's
it's
not
later.
fair.
It's not fair.
For many of the STIs.
Yep, there's no symptoms and there's no test. For women, there's a test. When we get our pap smears, and you should stay regular with your pap smears, it does screen for abnormal cells, which would include HPV. But unfortunately, there's no test for men, and men are generally the carriers of HPV. One thing that we heard, and Black people are generally at a disproportionate rate affected by HPV. And work that we're doing with REPCA here is that we did some research of all of the colleges in Maryland, and we found that the 4 HBCUs do not have an HPV awareness program. So that disproportionately puts you guys at risk for cervical cancer, throat cancer, tongue cancer. So we are starting a project, actually it started yesterday, where we're going to raise awareness to educate about HPV and then give you the opportunity to be able to get vaccinated right here on campus. What was thought to only be a necessary vaccine for children is now available without consultation. Like, you don't need to have a special circumstance up to 26. So please talk to your doctor if you have not been vaccinated so that you can get vaccinated. If you're over the age of 26 or know somebody over the age of 26, this is a conversation that they would have with their doctor. Now, we talked about abstinence earlier. I don't think that because you're abstinent that you don't need to get the HPV vaccine. This is protection for your future self. So even though you're not active right now, you don't know who you're going to encounter in your future, and you don't know what they've been exposed to, and they might not know. So the HPV vaccine is there to protect you now and in the future.
So that's treatment for prevention, and HPV is responsible for many, many kind of cancers that you talked about. So with cervical cancer, the best strategy in the world to really eliminate cervical cancer is through HPV vaccine. So 80%, 100%. And for anal cancer, that's about 80%. I'm reading the stat here, but vaginal cancer, 60 to 90%. Genital warts, about 100% of genital warts. Throat cancer, about 35 to 40%. Penile cancer, about 45%. So HPV virus is really responsible for many, many cancers in our bodies. So the vaccination is really important to reduce our risk.
And really think about that, because a lot of as long as the vaccine has been out, cervical cancer rates aren't declining like they should, and head and neck cancers are actually increasing. So this is showing us that people are not getting vaccinated, therefore the disease is able to continue to run rampant.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because we have really tremendous success in terms of reducing youth pregnancy rate, huge decline, about 38%, while we still have a high rate of STIs. Like, how is that possible? And that's because we do a good job about promoting oral contraceptives or long-term contraceptives, with that really emphasizing that you still need to wrap it up. You still need to use condoms all the time. So it's very important information. You just can't just do one information, not give the full information, and then put people at risk. So PrEP,
So tell me a bit about PrEP. So Delana, let's start with you because you are PrEP navigator. So tell us what PrEP is, and then Sierra is going to introduce us to a phenomenal PSAs that we worked with, and you're going to get a chance to look at that PSA and give Delina and Sierra input about what are the areas that we need to focus on when we're promoting PrEP for young audiences like yourself. So, Delina, tell us a little bit about PrEP, and then we'll get the details from the video.
Sure, absolutely. So PrEP, and again, luckily we have some infomercials or commercials that you may have seen on TV, what I call the 60-second sound bites. But what actually is PrEP? PrEP is your prophylactic or your prior exposure to what I say is everybody can be HIV possible, right? And when you don't know that person's status. So think about it. When you're driving a car, you're not anticipating that you'll get into an accident, but you want to have your seatbelts on and the airbags functioning, right? And so to me, that's what PrEP is. PrEP is your protection prior to possible exposure. So it's your ability to protect yourself in the event of, she spoke about, your future self with the HPV virus, doing it now to protect yourself now and in the future with PrEP. This is sort of like right now, whether we know that we're going to go out and maybe have unprotected sex, or if you're in a relationship with someone who you don't know their status, having sexual encounters of the unsolicited type. So anything that you feel that may put you at risk, that's what PrEP is for. And then on the opposite end of that, if you have not had PrEP or if you've not been protected, PEP is at post-exposure. So you have PrEP prior to, and then you have PEP, which can be taken after potential interaction of someone that may have exposed you to HIV. And that can be taken up to 72 hours or 3 days after that potential exposure, and you would take that for 28 days consecutively. Okay, so you have the ability to have PrEP or PEP.
Okay, great. So the distinction between PrEP and PEP. So PrEP is before. PEP is after. Oops, I do not know who I'm here with. I had a little bit too much to drink last night, and I'm in bed with someone. Oh, I need to get screened. I need to get tested. I need to actually take something to protect myself. That's PEP.
Right.
Or if you're sexually assaulted, PEP. PrEP, right from the beginning, in a relationship, sexually active, you take it. And Delina's our PrEP navigator. So you want information or referral for a PrEP vaccine, which you take twice a year, or PrEP pills. She will give you information. And there's also online access for where entering your zip code where you can get the information. So let's look at the PrEP commercial. Please take a look very carefully and provide Sierra your thoughts, especially young people. We want your thoughts about how we can have this really targeted for young people, and we want to hear from you. So there we go.
I had one man, but that one man had more than one woman. When I asked my doctor about protection, about PrEP, he asked me, "Are you a sex worker?" PrEP and PEP aren't just for them. They're for us. For the faithful woman. For the single mother. For the girl with dreams too big for stigma. For the brother in the barber's chair. The young man finding his truth. The teenager still learning the rules. For everyone, gay, straight, young, or seasoned, everyone deserves to be informed, feel safe, and free from HIV/AIDS. PrEP is 99% effective when taken daily, available as a daily pill or just a few injections per year. PEP is for potential exposures to HIV, including sexual assault. It is more than 80% effective and must be taken within 72 hours of the sexual encounter, not just for those with multiple partners or men who have sex with men. I protect her by protecting me. I protect me by knowing the truth and maintaining healthy relationships. PrEP and PEP are my peace. PrEP and PEP does not protect against other STDs, so remember to use condoms always when having sex.
For more resources on how to protect you and your community, contact R&D Associates. You can call, visit our website, send an email, or follow us on Instagram. This message is brought to you by R&D Associates and our ambassadors to promote sexual health in diverse communities, a project funded by Baltimore City Health Department. R&D Associates is solely responsible for this public service announcement. Special thanks to the Baltimore City Health Department.
Sierra in the line, huh? Yeah. Let's hear it. Go, Sierra. That was wonderful.
So, just by a show of hands, before today, who was aware of PrEP and PEP just by a name? Okay, hands down. Before today, with the exception of people who have seen this, how many people thought it was exclusively for the LGBTQIA community? Nobody? So y'all knew it was for everyone? Wow. So when this video was made, we were really taking some of the feedback. So if you saw from the video, one of the main characters, she said, when I asked my doctor for PrEP, he asked me, are you a sex worker? That was a real story. That was, I think Rebecca had pulled some interviews and some case studies from people in the community, from people around sexual health, but also real users. And so even with a lot of doctors, that stigma has long prevented many people from asking for the drug or being prescribed to it. However, there's a huge discrepancy between Black women specifically who are infected by HIV. And so it was an honor to create this to kind of change that narrative, because traditionally I had always seen PrEP and PEP geared towards the LGBTQ community. And so also, if you notice, there was also a woman of faith, right? So we, Rebecca and I, we've met people and heard stories of people who are Christians, who were in a committed relationship and yet still are infected by HIV. And so we want to help narrow that gap and make sure that people are informed and educated and create a world where faith does not mean a lack of knowledge. So, yeah.
And also I felt that it was important, and you did a great job of including this population, meaning this age group, college age group, because I feel like that also was an age group that was misrepresented. Even when you see some of the commercials, it's usually older individuals that are, again, whether it's in LGBTQ, whether it's in heterosexual relationships, it didn't matter. I just felt like this population was not represented. And I feel like your PSA did a great job of integrating that. Also showing how the impact of families. There was a young girl in the video where the person stated, I'm doing this for her as well as protecting myself. So I think that we, you definitely hit the target of showing that this not only affects the person, but then those connected to her as it relates to families, and individuals and the college age individuals. So I feel like that was definitely truly represented.
So for you young people, what are messages from here? We heard that this is too long. This piece is too long for young people. They're not going to listen through all of that. Okay, some of you are smiling. I guess that's true. That means to be true. So, what are like snippets? What are the things that you think we should narrow down from the prep PSAs so that our messages will be really, truly very targeted in a way that young people will listen to the message. So it'd be great to hear from some of you with your perspective on that. So because we're generating Instagram from this PSA or creating new PSA Instagrams.
The first thing I would say is yes, of course, 2 minutes, 30 seconds could be a little long when it comes to the generation of TikTok. Yeah, so you just need I would say the hook definitely to address the stigma because I've never heard that before of like a doctor just asking somebody straight up, you're a sexual worker.
Oh, they're ruthless. Doctors are ruthless.
That's like actually alarming, but also the LGBTQ stigma of it being like, oh, only homosexual men are able to contract HIV. I feel like that's something that my I wouldn't say my friend group or something I would be able to hear from my friends like, oh, only a gay man is able to do that. So definitely the stigma and alarming facts, I would say it needs to be included in the video. Like, okay, things are actually happening to the genre of like, and creating just the sense of urgency. Like, actually go to the doctor. You're not even 26 years old yet. Like, you're able to get these things. That's what I would say.
So scroll stopping or something that kind of jars you, that's easier for you guys, especially when you're talking about that quick TikTok, Instagram. You want something that's going to make you scroll stop.
No, it should be educational, of course, but the first 3 seconds I want to say should capture the audience. Like, okay, this is something that like is of urgent. It's an urgent matter.
Okay.
Yes, because an educational video, informational, it's always good to inform, but like you said, this generation and attention spans, it's very hard.
Yeah.
Thank you, Esther. And so we're volunteering you then to assist us. Yes. Okay, Esther, you'll hook up with Sierra with that information. Others?
Can I say something?
Let's hear from young people's comment, and then I know Jimmy wants to share a next announcement. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think that you should soundbite this video. I do agree with pulling people in. So maybe there was a demographic I didn't see represented. I would say that's the average guy sitting in the room. That is the average person that has probably dropped out of school or something. So I don't think this video should have sound bites, but I do agree there should be clips. So somebody walking down, everybody doesn't know where LNG is, but Garrison. Everybody walking down Garrison and Greenmount, they might not have been represented in the video. So I'm walking out of a chicken box spot. Oh, I didn't know I'm engaging with this person. So I guess like highlighting more people should be the sound bites, but this video, I don't think it should be shortened. Yes, we live in a scrolling, everything is fast and microwavable, but that's a big chunk of why we have the issues with literacy or just understanding certain things. So I don't think we should cut that video. Just make smaller promotion clips.
I'm gonna second that. I think you guys are like, the message was very powerful and clear. I think that the problem is you have to understand you're competing with the demons or whatever it is that's going on in their life. And so, again, that whole idea of meeting someone where they are, like the video 100% does that. I think it's just more so like it has to get more exposure. That's the only thing I can really truly say. Other than that, I think it's phenomenal.
Okay, now understanding the literacy part, I want to bring it to a visual perspective of me watching the video and trying to understand what I'm learning from it. Some things would not be matching in the text, like we're talking about this family, but then we're seeing a couple. So just a visual standpoint, it could be better. Yeah.
Okay. Quick point.
I like the point that she made in the back. I don't think it should be shortened. The information was definitely necessary. But what came to mind with your comment was how they do Super Bowl commercials. Right. You know how during the Super Bowl, the commercial is like extremely long. But then when we see it again, there is an abbreviated version, perhaps setting clips of like things that can be promotional. But I think the length of the video is necessary.
Okay, so we could do like a series, like this, about this, about this, about the prevention, about the vaccine itself, about the. Okay, all right, good comment. So the last thing, as we're hearing from you, so Jimmy, what information do you have to share with us?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Jimmy. I'm Data and Communications Coordinator for R&D Associates. My job is basically collect data and report it back to our funder. Can we, by the way, give a round of applause to the Baltimore City Health Department in the back? So now we all heard about PrEP. It's for everyone. And the next step is like action. We would love to connect you to your actual provider. There are so many resources out there, but we would love to connect you to an actual provider who provides PrEP, for free. So I want everybody to scan this QR code and complete it, and everybody will get a $5 gift card right away. And just complete this one, and we would love to connect you. We have a PrEP navigator, Delana, so we'll connect you to other health centers and organizations that provide the PrEP for free. And also, if you're not
for Baltimore City zip code, right?
Yep. Yeah. And for everyone who is not comfortable doing the HIV test today, we can send you like a kit to your home. You can just do it at your convenience. So come and see me. We want to do it at your home at your convenience. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and don't forget the screening. So if we can go back to the video, the PowerPoint. Thank you so much, everyone. So questions that you have for the entire group, or comments about healthy relationship or about abstinence. Anybody open for the audience? And so while you prepare with your comments for closing, and I also want to have ambassadors. Think about announcements, major announcements that you have. I know Renee has a major announcement. So others, please be prepared. So I want to just summarize a few things. Life is all about relationship. That's how we are as human beings. So relationship with ourselves, and we have relationship with others, and it's built around self-confidence and self-concept, self-esteem, self-identity. All that is part of knowing and having a relationship with ourselves. But it's also about really growing in our relationship, or how we think about relationship. It's really based from infancy, how the parents treated us. Okay? And then we're observing the relationship with siblings, relationship with family and peers, with the community and nation. We are human beings based on relationship. And relationships, all these relationships influence us, who we are, and our behaviors, and how we respond to relationships around us. One of the things that someone told me a young person told me when I was doing training around sexual health, and talking about domestic violence, intimate violence, said, "Ma'am, what really is healthy relationship? Because we get so much training about dating violence, we don't really get training at all around what does healthy relationship look like." So it's really important when we talk to young people, we talk about what healthy relationship looks like and what it does not look like. So here are some samples, some examples, but it's a brainstorming session that you have with young people. So it's really about, does it feel good? Does it feel right? Does it feel uplifted and you feel respected? So you ask a series of questions, and then you decide whether you want to keep it or leave it. It's very important that you make the decision for yourself and not for the other person. Okay. So when we think about avoiding unwanted pregnancy, and reducing our rate for our chances or risk for STD and HIV prevention. So think about abstinence, think about being tested, using condoms if you're going to have safer sex in relationship, PrEP and PEP as options, and avoid exchange of bodily fluid. And then think carefully with who and when and why you're having sex. Weigh your values, relationship with your partner, what does it look like? Is there a trust built in? Family expectations, and preparing for sex and handling the consequences related to sex, and get tested. And then when we work with young people, it's really about meeting young people where they're at. We're not presenting untrained folks to be working with them, or we're not promoting sex. We're not promoting do as you please. We're really promoting respect your body and do what is right for your body and for yourself and for your own growth. So we promote opportunities for clean clinic to be tested and screened, and also PrEP referral. So thank you so much, and join the movement with R&D Associate to promote sexual health. But connect with us with Instagram. So Instagram, look for us at R&D Associates. Please, what do you call it? Friend us or whatever you call the term for Instagram. And follow us is what it's called. So follow us. I'm aging myself. So follow us on LinkedIn. And you've been like a phenomenal audience. And I want to thank all of the panelists and my co-host, usually partner, which is like the liner. So please, there's more food, and I'm gonna finally get a chance to have food myself. There's a box of condoms. Please help yourself to condoms. Oh, there's a question. Okay, wonderful. Comment.
Reminder, we have friends that we're leaving in the next
$25. Yeah.
Get your coins, get your money, get your condoms.
Please do so. Yes, visit that site so you can talk to Jimmy and get $5 for your PrEP referral, and then your STI testing right there with Jerome and his team, Pride Maryland. And there's a box of condoms, so please help yourself. Make sure you look at the expiration date. I want to thank our phenomenal partners, Morgan State University and Luther, who's become my new friend right there. Luther, yes, and his team right there, the camera folks that are part of Morgan State. So R&D Associates is so delighted to work with Morgan State and bring a monthly podcast to a really higher level. Thank you all, and thank you, Dr. Butler. Thank you, everyone that's part of this team. Absolutely wonderful. Have a phenomenal day. Stay, enjoy the food. Network ambassadors, students, meet with our ambassadors, Renee, Michelle, Delina, Wesley, and Jarrell. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Y'all know we gotta take a picture for Wesley's birthday. Today's his actual birthday.